Hello, sentient beings. Welcome to the Spiritual Alchemist channel with me, your host, Marvin. Well, today's topic, we're going to discuss the temperaments and the vegetative energies. So if you viewed the video on the wind, bile, and phlegm, you can consider this as well like a continuation of that, for example. And we'll be talking about the system of the constitutions that Count Mattei of Bologna in Italy discovered. And we'll expand a little bit on those as well and talk about the electricities that could be used to heal those as well. So Count Mattei is considered to be like the father of electrohomeopathy. So if you are familiar with homeopathic remedies, then of course you know that they have no side effects and as well, or little side effects if any at all, and that they do not contain any poisons. So with that said, we'll talk about first the 5 constitutions, which he pointed out, with the first being the angionic. And the angionic, this is having to do with lymph, so the lymph system, the lymphatic system, and as well with blood. And with the angionic, it talks about the blood protein and the deficiencies that are within. And this also then corresponds to bile. The second constitution, which he maps out for us, is the sanguine, which relates to hereditary, the genes, so genetic structure also, and that also corresponds to bile. Then when we look at the third constitution, this is called the lymphatic. So this is broken down and has 3 interrelated functions. Number 1, what it does is to remove that excess fluid from the body tissues. The second thing that it does, it has the absorption, I can't even say that word, of fatty acids and subsequent transport of fat called chyle. The third thing that this does then is it has to do with the production of our immune cells. So fighting against any type of infections or disease would be the characteristic of it as well. Then it's, production of these immune cells like the lymphocytes, the monocytes, and antibody producing cells, which we call the plasma cells. So the lymphatic corresponds then to phlegm. The fourth constitution has to do with tuberculinic, which is, of course, TB for short, for those that might be familiar with that. And it is a common and deadly infectious disease caused by the bacterium, Mycobacterium tuberculosis. And this is affecting the lungs, so it's pulmonary TB. And and it can also affect things like the central nervous system, the lymphatic system, the bones, the joints can also be affected, our circulatory system, and it's also related to phlegm. Last but not least, our 5th constitution is cancerianic. So with cancerianic cells, this is a class of disease where there is disorder classified or characterized by uncontrolled division of cells and the ability of these cells to invade other tissues. Now, either by direct growth or into adjacent tissue, through invasion by implantation into the distant sites by metastasis. And what metastasis is the stage in which the cancer cells are transported through the blood system or, the lymphatic stream or the lymphatic system. So cancer affects, people of all ages, so young and the older people, but more direction towards our older population because, of course, those The older we get, then we find that there is damage done to the DNA as well. And then we have the three temperaments, which are as follows. We have the nervous, which then corresponds to wind or air, the sanguine and the anionic. And the sanguine and the anionic, that corresponds to bile. Then we have the lymphatic and the turbulinic, which then corresponds to the phlegm. Then the 5 vegetative energies, which also have colors. So there's colors that correspond to those. So the red and the blue electricity are positive. And we have then the yellow and the green electricity, which are the negative polarities. What is neutral would be the white polarity, so that the white is very calming and soothing. Then we also have, if we want action, the action that's needed would be for stimulating. So with that would be the red electricity for all the lymphatic and the tuberculinic constitutions, and the temperament, of course, for phlegm. The action, if we want that relaxation, would be the yellow electricity. Now with the yellow, it's for the cancerinic and constitution, and temperament, of course, being for bile. The action that we would need for contracting would be the blue electricity for the sanguine constitutions, and with that temperament, of course, of bile. With the green electricity, that is an antiseptic, so that will help to mitigate things like inflammation and so forth. And for support, again, the white electricity, which is calming, is neutralizing, and we would use the white in the case where none of the others were very effective. Then the white electricity would be used. And want to thank you as well for your attention, for watching the video to the end. So if you like the video, please like, share, and subscribe. And we'll see you in the next video. Until then, stay divine and continue to shine.